Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Vahlkor and today I want to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and my thoughts on the game so far. But before we get into that, a quick shout out to my Twitch, twitch.tv/Vahlkor. Come hang out with me while we play some of these games live, and remember that all the footage you're going to be seeing here is from the stream. So I'm looking forward to see you there. Link to that in the description down below. Alright guys, so Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is an action RPG developed and published by Square Enix. The game is the sequel to 2020's Final Fantasy VII Remake and is the second installment in the planned trilogy that is making or remaking the original 1997 game. Rebirth begins right after the events of Remake. Now, even though the story is familiar from what we already know, there are some additions to it, and honestly, it's being told in the right way, and I think it's worth checking out. Some people may have a problem with the pacing of the story at times. I've seen some discourse on that on the internet, but this honestly comes down to preferences. So far, I can tell you that right now I have had no problems with the way the game is telling the story. And with that said, I am taking my time to explore everything on the map, get as much side content done as possible, and that is how I enjoy to play these types of open world games. It can get a little repetitive, sure, yeah, I mean, everybody has their own preferences when it comes to that, but maybe the nostalgia of being back in this world is what is making me enjoy it so much, especially when I am looking at this game through a new perspective. The sheer size of scale and the map is amazing. It really brings forth the quality of work that Square Enix is doing with this trilogy, giving us the ability to appreciate the world as we imagined it all those years ago. And it goes without saying, but I am playing this on the PlayStation 5. It's the only platform the game is available at the moment, and I set it up on performance mode. Now, this is the first time that I see two different performance modes in a game. I can't recall of any other game doing the same, and they were labeled Performance Sharp and Performance Smooth. I'm gonna be completely honest here. I do not know what the difference is. I couldn't tell anything was different at all. As long as I get a high frame rate and it's stable, I think I'm happy with it. And that is my goal. That is my point whenever I choose performance mode. I want to make sure that I have a steady 60 FPS or whatever it is that they are marketing in this nowadays. And the game delivers that. Even in some fights where we're in the middle of the open world, and there's lots of things like on the peripheral view on the horizon, and then I'm fighting and all these particle effects are happening and all that stuff. It didn't really dip. Like, I didn't experience any graphical errors or anything of the sort during my time playing the game. And to be quite honest, my experience has been flawless. We can only hope that whenever this game makes it to PC, which, you know, Square Enix or PlayStation actually has been doing this now, after every few years, they start releasing those games on the PC platform. I hope that the performance is as good as it is on the console, because if it's not that way, then it will greatly diminish the fast-paced combat that you have going on here. And obviously, that will hinder the enjoyment that you will get from the game. Moving on from there, let's talk about sound and voice acting. One of the things that the Final Fantasy series is known for is for the amazing music, and there is no exception here. Listening to the new versions of the songs is great. The voice acting stands out, with each one of the characters having a unique tone and charisma, adding depth to their motivations. This distinction is crucial as it enhances the narrative's delivery and the emotional weight of the dialogue. The voice cast here excels at bringing genuine emotion to every line, which is essential for a game where the story's impact is as significant as the gameplay itself. In terms of voice performance, I have no reservations. I wouldn't be surprised if Rebirth could take a few of the prizes or awards in the Game Awards this year. Alright guys, with that out of the way, let's jump into the game systems. First off, the same combat system is back as the previous game. This hybrid action combat with the addition of the active time bar and the ability to control other party members. It's one of the most complex combat systems that I've seen, and it takes some getting used to. I found myself constantly having to use the command menu to essentially pause my game mid-battle because I had to think about what move I wanted to do next. The first few hours of the game, it was just a constant stopping, what am I doing, you know, and then rinse and repeat, right? After I got a solid grasp and I understood the proper use of the combat shortcuts in the controller and all these things that you can do, then I started to feel like it was more fluid. After I got the hang of all of those things and I got comfortable with the controllers, then it felt really satisfying and rewarding. But it did take me some time to get to that point, so I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand that. I also want to talk briefly about the minigames inside Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There are so many of them. Like I cannot even tell you, but trust me when I say this, there are a lot of them. So if you like minigames, you're going to have a lot to choose from. It's going to be a lot to do if you want to be completionist. It's going to take you over 100 hours to complete all this stuff and get everything from this game. They can also get kind of repetitive, just like doing all these open world activities out there. The minigames can be the same way because you're essentially doing the same thing over and over again. And sometimes the main story progression is locked behind doing some of these minigames. Now, they don't really overstay their welcome when you need to do just one or two. But sometimes you're going to have, like, if you want to gather everything, you will have to grind and make sure you get, like, for example, if you're playing Queen's Blood card game, you're going to have to find what cards work for you, have to make a new deck and do all these things. And that takes a lot of time. It is fun. It's just not something that I see myself doing all the way while doing my first playthrough. But it's something that I might be coming back while I am wanting to do completionist stuff. Now, it wouldn't be a Final Fantasy VII game without materias. Materias are back, and they are the same as they always were. You equip a materia, then the abilities or buffs become available to your character. They gain AP to level up, and as you level them up by defeating enemies, they're gonna be stronger, right? You've always seen that in all the previous installments. But then you also have weapon abilities. These level up, and when you max out your weapon ability, you can change your weapon, and you can still use that other weapon ability you maxed out. It reminds me of, I believe it was Final Fantasy IX, where armors have like magics and stuff, and then you can learn yourself. And there is also the addition of a skill tree, which they are calling it folios. You basically spend points in this skill tree to customize your character, learn new powerful abilities, and the cool part is that if you don't like something that you selected, you can always reset it and then relearn the things that you want to learn. As far as I know, there's no cost to doing that, so I'm very happy because I would have hated to select the wrong build. You know, there's always that thing going on. But in this case, there's no worries. You just customize it as you see fit. And if you need to redo it, then you just reset your points and then spend them all again. And all these play a crucial role in character progression. The combination of materials and gear and getting your skills together, all that is going to make your character more powerful. And in the beginning, it can be a little overwhelming. But in reality, it's actually pretty straightforward. You don't really have to tinker with it too much. You just have to progress little by little. You will constantly be making progress towards unlocking new abilities, and your character will be becoming stronger as a result from that. Oh, and being an open world, there's a lot of loot around. Now, the loot might be a little dumb, but, you know, you can gather all these items around the world, and you'll essentially transmute them into making new armor or armor upgrades. You can make consumables and stuff like that. And one of the things that I really enjoyed from exploring the world is going into monster hunts. The monster hunt system is similar to the one in Final Fantasy 16. There's nothing too special other than you go to the map, you get a mark in your map, you go there, you kill the enemies, you complete the objectives to get the intel, and at the very end, then you'll get like a boss fight for each region, which I thought that was pretty cool. But then that brings me to a close. Is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth worth it? So far I spent about a little under 30 hours, and I've completed 2 zones with all their objectives. I have also spent some time playing the minigames. I personally love having the map objectives because it gives me a sense of direction and what to do next. I know some people, they call this like, I think I've heard the term checklist open world or something like that, where you basically go in and then you knock things out of the to-do list. It's essentially something like that, but I have no problem with those kinds of systems as long as it's not way too overwhelming and it's not essentially too much. Then I'm okay with it. And as I said before, the game can have some moments where it might feel repetitive. I can fully acknowledge that, as once you complete some of these side objectives, you've essentially done them all, right? They can't really reinvent the wheel every time. Yet, I am still enjoying my time with the game, and I plan on finishing the story. And for that, I strongly recommend Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Even if you're a new fan or if you're a fan from the original trilogy, I think this game deserves your attention, and is honestly a must-play from PlayStation 5. Anyways, guys, make sure you leave a like as well as your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want to be part of the stream and, you know, play these games with me live and see how we do everything together, link to that's gonna be in the description down below. But as always, my name is Vahlkor, and I'll see you next time.